Greetings, everyone. Please let me know you can hear me by typing a Y in the text chat. All right. Welcome, everyone, to how to clear all Auric attachments in the past, present, and future recursively. How's everyone feeling this evening? Awesome. So before we get started, just make sure you have everything that could possibly distract you turned off. Just like anything, this is going to require your focus. And we will be doing a clearing at the end of the session, so you may want to have some water in front of you. Before we get into this, just type on the text chat where you're currently logging in from. So we have Atlanta, Chicago, Idaho, Australia, Georgia, Colombia, London, Norfolk, more Australia, Philippines. So these are flowing down the screen faster than I can keep up, but I really appreciate you guys being here. And what you're going to learn tonight is about a new technology that is going to help you in your healing, your manifestations, and in every area of your life. So I'm excited to share this with you. Now, the focus for tonight is we're going to talk about the concept of recursive loops, which is a concept from computer science that I've integrated into healing, manifestation, and even clearing money issues. We're also going to talk about an acronym called PERM, P-E-R-M, which stands for Powerful Energies for Resolution and Manifestation. We're going to talk about the old way to clear Auric attachments that we've been using for the last 23 years. And then we're going to talk about the new way that I discovered to clear Auric attachments using the recursive technology. We're then going to talk about how to use the Infinite Loops Recursive Energy Clearing Code, which is a scale-away program to clear all Auric attachments permanently and forever. And then I'm going to give you a sneak peek into the new advanced recursive Auric clearing technology and make an offer for you to actually experience this. So whether or not you get that offer, I suspect you'll find tremendous value in the webinar. Sound good, everyone? All right, so let's get started. I think that I know most of you here, so most of you know my story. I basically have been doing this for around 23 years. I originally was studying to be a doctor. I was pre-med in college, and then I changed that when I realized that doctors were basically just drug dealers. I mean, there's some really good doctors out there, but you know, having to rely on medication to treat symptoms and not actually healing the cause didn't really excite me too much. So I changed to computer science. And what I realized after doing, you know, 10 years of management consulting with Ernst & Young and doing coding and programming and network engineering is that everything that you can think of is run by code. You know, think of your iPhone. What is actually doing that? Well, it's code at the operating system level, right? So human beings are also being run by code. Like the coding that you have determines your output in life. And so over the last 23 years, I've been working with people to clear the discordant codes, the things that you picked up from your parents and your ancestors that were not for your highest good, or things that you may have consciously or unconsciously created, and clearing that so you can embody your higher self and live more in line with your higher self. And so I've been doing this, for 23 years. I had an office in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Now I'm in Las Vegas. I currently have 11-month waiting list for private sessions, which I rarely do. I have a specific type of DNA template called Indigo Type 1, which allows me to do this work for thousands of people at the same time now. And you probably heard my story or read my books with Babaji Nagaraj, who is my mentor for 4 years straight. So basically, this is not my first rodeo. I've done over 1 million auric clearings via 9,000 webinars. I had 4,500 people on one webinar on 12/12/2012, so that was the largest. And I have over 1,000 certified auric clearing practitioners who've been trained on my prior methodology. But tonight you're going to learn about the new methodology, which is much more advanced and much more efficient, that you can learn to apply in your life. And so what is a big problem? Well, the big problem is you, or maybe your partner or your family members or your children, have auric attachments, and even if you clear them, you create or pick up more, so you continue to have these sessions. So first of all, what are auric attachments? Well, auric attachments are occupants, discarnates, portals, wormholes, and negative thought forms. So an occupant is a thought form that thinks it owns the body. So basically, if you get really emotionally upset and your mind goes analogical, where time just seems to stop, what happens in that moment at a quantum physics level is you're fracturing off your soul's energy into something called ids. They're identities. And these identities are energy configurations that have a specific frequency. So for example, if find out that maybe your boyfriend or girlfriend is cheating on you, well, in that moment, you go analogical with a certain thought, like, I can't believe this is happening to me, or, I can't trust men, or I can't trust women. And that creates an id that is then stored in your chakras. And it has a certain frequency. So if you go analogical with, I can't trust men, you fracture off your soul's energy, it creates the id, goes into your heart chakra, which controls issues related to love and trust. And then from that point on, your heart chakra is closing up, and you can't really experience unconditional love for another person because you have that trust issue. Does that make sense, everyone? So this is what's happening all the time with people. People are going analogical, they're getting very emotional, they're reacting, they're freaking out, and they're fracturing off their field. And that's why an auric clearing is so important. Another thing that can happen is you can attract discarnates into your field. So discarnates are entities that are on the astral level that haven't transitioned properly, and they are attracted to very discordant emotions like hate, rage, anger, depression, those type of emotions. So they basically feed off of that energy. So anytime you have someone who's just like extremely uh, angry or aggressive, most likely they're being affected by a discarnate. And when I do a session, I normally have to clear at least 2 or 3 discarnates from a person in the session. You can kind of think of it like this. How many of you have ever been walking down the street in a city and you see like a homeless person basically talking to themselves or yelling at other people? Have you ever seen that? Well, that person is loaded with discarnates, and they keep them around. And I see this all the time. So if you ever encounter that, you can actually just set your intent to put that person in a pale silver reflector orb, and that will prevent that negative energy from coming to you. And it's like an instant karma orb for them. It just bounces back to them. But it's extremely important to clear any discarnates from your field. I was just on a session with a lady who I was helping her with her son, who's an indigo type 3, and she was telling me that he was being like that sometimes. So tonight, while he's sleeping, I'm going to be doing a session for him to make sure that we clear those discarnates. Because, if you don't do that, if you have one person in your family, in your household that has these, it can ruin your entire time. If you go on a vacation and one person starts acting like that, it's going to ruin your whole experience. So it's a big problem on the planet. Most people now are aware of this. I started 23 years ago and no one had even heard of this. They thought I was crazy. But now there's thousands of people out there talking about this. Now, the other type of auric attachment are called portals. And so these are energetic openings in your auric field that allow other discordant energies in. So if you have an energetic portal, then you can be around a really negative person and they can be talking to you and you're feeling worse and worse because you're taking on their negative energy and they're basically energy vampiring you. How many of you have been around people like that? Or you've had a phone call with someone and you noticed your energy went down after the call? Yeah, so that's a signal that you may have an open portal in your field. A wormhole is a connection from your field to another dimension where there can be an entity basically sucking on your energy, kind of like, you can kind of imagine it like a vacuum cleaner hose. These are pretty rare, but I do see these sometimes. And basically, the whole point of this is to be in an energetic integrity all the time. If you're in energetic integrity and you don't have any holes in your auric field and you don't have entities, sucking on your energy, then your mind is going to be pretty harmonious. You're going to have a lot of energy. You're going to be, healthy, because everything starts in your auric field. Any type of illness or disease first starts as an energetic blockage in your auric field. Our goal is to clear these energetic blockages before they manifest physically. Now, some people have a lot of negative thought forms around them or in their field because they have, ADHD, or they have an overactive uh, basal ganglia in the brain, which generates something called ANTs, automatic negative thought forms. And so these negative thought forms accumulate in the light body and it lowers the frequency of the person. So they end up attracting negative things into their life. Your frequency attracts you to the same grid of people, places, times, things, and events. So that's what's showing up in your life right now. If you don't like what's showing up in your life, you don't work on the outside, you work on the inside, because everything is being projected. Does that make sense, everyone? So these are the types of things that I clear in an auric clearing session, and this is really extremely important. This diagram here shows the different chakras in the human body. So you have 7 embodied chakras, and then you have 8 chakras that are located above the head and below the feet. So these are called the morphogenetic chakras. In the sessions that I do, I clear all 15 chakras. Most people don't even know about the other chakras. But these are extremely important because you have a 15th dimensional anatomy, which means you have 15 dimensions that you have access to, and you have all of these subtle bodies here. So if you have a blockage in one of these chakras, let's say your second chakra here, your second chakra controls issues related to pain, suffering, victimization, poverty consciousness, lack, limitation, and money issues, abundance. So if this is closed, you're probably going to have problems manifesting material wealth in the 3D. If your third chakra is blocked right here, then you'll probably have issues with self-power and self-esteem. If your heart chakra is blocked, you may have problems with love, self-love, relationships, trust issues, betrayal, rejection. And then what's common for most women is that the throat chakra is closed, or it's imbalanced, because women for thousands of years have been taught to be quiet, to be long-suffering, to not have a voice, to not be allowed to work or have an education, and always must be subservient to men. And so they still have this from the past. And now, even though women can experience more empowerment in some countries, this is still the same. So it's just important to have all of these chakras open so your life force energy can flow, because every chakra controls certain issues. Does that make sense, everyone? So I'm just going to connect to your higher self right now, and what I'm going to do is just guide you through determining whether you have any auric attachments, so you can just find this out for yourself, and then you can know when something is cleared by testing what you're getting from your higher self. So just take a couple of deep breaths and just slow down your inner rhythm and breathing. Have your left hand with the palm facing down, fingers pointing away from you, very relaxed and not touching anything. All right, so just begin to focus on what you're feeling in your left hand. Right now, you'll just feel a little tingling in the fingertips. With your right hand, just type a Y on the text chat if you feel that. All right, now just say out loud, connecting to my higher self. And focus on what you're feeling in your left hand as you say this. When you say this, you're setting your intent. You're immediately connected to your higher self, which is you from dimensions 4 through 15. Your higher self is never wrong. Your higher self is always accurate. So this is a quick way to connect and then to get answers. Now just ask, am I currently on this webinar with Toby? And feel what happens in your left hand. Notice which way the energy is moving. On the text chat, just type in whether it's moving in or out your left hand. So refocus. Imagine you are in your left hand and then ask the question again. So when you're reading energy signatures from your higher self, a yes is when it feels like a valve is open in the middle of your hand and the energy goes out away from you. So the energy should be going out away from you. If it's not, then you definitely have some type of auric attachment that's blocking you from reading the energy. So you always want to calibrate with the question you know the answer to. And now just ask, do I have any auric attachments? Now what do you feel? Energy out or energy in? Yeah, so I'm connected to everyone on the webinar, and I'm just going down the list for each person. And I can do this because I've done it so many times. But I'm getting a yes for every single person, which is not uncommon. You probably created something unconsciously or picked up something from your environment that you're not even aware of, or you may even be aware of it, the situation. You may have had an argument with someone or some type of conflict, and that created it. It doesn't really matter, but the most important thing is to clear these things. Okay, so you can always check yourself like this. Now, how do you know, like physically in your life, if you may have auric attachments? Well, these are the symptoms. Who here has noticed that you have low energy sometimes, or low motivation, or you get tired in the afternoon? Or you notice that you've gained weight, especially around the waist? Or if you have health issues, trouble manifesting, trouble following through, or procrastination on the things you know you should do? And also, who here has fear, worry, or anxiety sometimes? All right, so all of these things can be cleared. So really what we're focused on is, what is the main issue that you've noticed on yourself right now? And if you could just type that in on the text chat, when we get to the clearing part, I'll be able to work on that for you. So I'll give you a couple minutes just to put on the text chat what you would like me to focus on to help you to clear tonight. Okay, you got that, Neil, Famida. All right, Sue. Mark, be more specific, please. Okay, Lauren. All right, Venkat. Okay, Ruth. Okay, Kim. Ozina. Bertie, Jeannie. Okay, Vivian. Okay, Patty. Great to have you here, Patty. Okay, Jimmy, David. Okay, Catherine, I had the similar problem. I'll talk about it in a moment. Okay, Amy. Toby. Great name, man. Good to have you here again. All right, so we will work on that when we do the clearing. Now, we check to see if you do have some Auric attachments, so we did that. We don't really care what they are, but they're basically any occupants, discarnates, portals, wormholes, or negative thought forms. So the old way that we used to clear these was with commands and codes. So first started just doing commands. So I've done these commands thousands of times. So here's an example of a command to clear an occupant. Activate all ids on the first 3 levels related to this occupant. Bring in all these ids, mirror opposite ids, and merge together with each other and the Christ opposites up to levels. Bring in all necessary Christ opposites to remove the ids themselves. Clean up demons, stop forms, soul fragments, personalities of others on the first 3 levels and all levels. So as you can see, I have not just memorized that code, I've learned it because I used to do 12 to 16 sessions per day with my clients, and I would be doing that command over and over and over and over. So then the next advancement was creating codes and encoding the commands into the codes. Like for example, this omnipotent Auric clearing code here, I put all those commands into the code. And when you look at the code, you do what is called optical pineal induction, and it activates in you and it does the clearing using those commands. So in that way, we wouldn't have to do the commands over and over and over. You know, it's much more efficient. But the problem is after I do a clearing for someone, you know, they can go create other things, or they can go in an environment where they can pick up other things. And then, you know, later on, they need another clearing. You know, it's like when I was married, my wife wanted me to do a session for her every single day. So I'd do a session and then she would freak out or go analogical. And then the next day she expected me to heal her again. So, you know, this is very inefficient. And, you know, for those of you who have been certified, you've probably done thousands of Auric clearings for people, right? So you're going to be clear, you know, the first day, but then after that, you could pick up something. It's like a child that's so open and they go to school and they pick up on everyone's energy, and then they come home and they're, you know, there's something off. You know, they're very angry or sad or emotional. Does that make sense, everyone? So that was the old way to clear the Auric attachments. You know, we could use a code to clear these and combine that with commands. And, you know, I have manuals about this, but I discovered a much better and more efficient way. Now, this came from my background in computer science, and I started thinking about recursive code. So recursive code in computer science is code that runs in a loop. And so you have a loop where there's some commands to do something over and over and over. And then at the end of the code, it goes back to the beginning. And so that's what a computer loop is. And about 2 months ago, I was playing basketball with my son, and I stopped really quickly and I heard something crack in my knee. And at the same time, I pulled my hamstring. So it just felt like it was bone against bone on my knee, and I couldn't really walk for like 2 months. And usually, when something happens, I know that I can heal anything, so I just use the protocols that I know, and usually very quickly it's gone. But with this, every day I would do a clearing, I would feel better the next day. But then the next day, it would be back. I was like, well, this is a serious thing. Am I going to have to actually go to a doctor, get an x-ray? Because there might be something really, really serious there. So I couldn't completely clear it. And then I got the idea to create a recursive code, recursive healing code. And I created the recursive code, which means once I run it, I only have to run it once. And as well, it will keep running in the background like an infinite loop. And when I did this, it started working. And the next day, I was able to walk. There was no pain. I couldn't hear my bones you know, rubbing against each other. The hamstring loosened up, and I couldn't believe it. I was able to play basketball with my son later that weekend, no pain whatsoever. So that was my aha moment. And I was already teaching a couple of courses on manifestation. So I started creating recursive codes for manifestation, recursive energy clearing codes, and then also recursive manifestation codes. And I'll just tell you like how you use these codes. Once you have the code activated on you, it's working in the background just to create like a very zero state in you, such that any light touch intention that you have starts manifesting. And I was staying in a hotel here in Vegas, and I was also studying and teaching my clients about the 369 Nikola Tesla manifestation method. And so I was really focused on this. And when I went to check into the hotel, I just checked in, for a regular room. And they said, oh, we upgraded you to the Sky Suites. And I said, well, that's nice. I've never been in the Sky Suites. And they gave me a key, and the number of the room was divisible by 3, 6, and 9. So it was the perfect energy frequency. So I checked into the room, and ever since I've been in this room, I've been winning everything. Like I do remote viewing for sports and, baccarat and all kinds of things, but I haven't lost a game. And today I was supposed to check out of the room, and I'd already reserved another one, just a regular room again. So I went down the front desk, and my intention was to stay in the room, but they have a conference in town right now called SEMA. It's like for automobiles. It's the biggest conference in Vegas. And so there's thousands of people in town. And so when there's thousands of people, they basically they jack up the rates of the hotel like ridiculous. So I asked them how much this room would be, and they were like 1,500 a night. I was like, I'm not going to pay that. So set my intention to get an upgrade to be able to stay in this room without paying any more than I was paying, and everything was comped. So I went down there. I had the intuition to go at a specific time, 11:11 a.m. So I went down there at 11:11, And normally they have like these people behind the desk who are basically clueless, and so it's just a big hassle. Well, today I go down there, there's this gentleman dressed like impeccably, and he greets me, he's super nice, very polite. I tell him the situation. He's like, okay, well, let me call and see what I can do. So he calls, and he's like, I have a Noir guest here. Noir is like the highest level that you can be in MGM, and he would like to do this. And I see the expression on his face change, like not a good expression. And then he gets off the phone. He says, yeah, they can't do it because of SEMA. I said, okay, because I was in a zero state when I went down there. That's the way you want to be for your manifestation. I didn't care, what room I got. I was just open to whatever happened. But I did have that code active in my awareness. And so I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. And then he said, wait a minute. He calls again. He says, can I just upgrade him? And the person, I guess, said yes. So he gets off the phone. He's smiling. He says, here, I'll just take care of it for you. So that's the way the manifestation happens. Like all these things are happening like this all the time. Now that I start activating these codes. And so we have the codes for manifestation. And what I've created recently is an advanced recursive Auric clearing code, a whole protocol for that, which means you don't have to do an Auric clearing more than once you have this installed in you. Does that make sense, everyone? So how does this work? Well, it's like the computer coding of loops. So here's a definition of a loop in computer programming. It's a sequence of instructions that is continually repeated until a certain condition is reached. Typically, a certain process is done, such as getting an item of data and changing it, and then some condition is checked, such as whether a counter has reached a prescribed number. In other words, you can do computer loops like you can have an if-then statement. So if a certain condition exists, then execute this process. It's like in trading, we have rules of engagement. So if we're watching, for example, a chart of oil trading, and the signal that we have is based on an if-then statement, like if the RSI indicator is greater than 80 and there exists price structure to the left, then short 10 contracts of oil with a 20 tick target and 10 tick stop. So that's an example of a loop. In energy healing, we can use the same thing. So what do you think the condition would be in auric clearing? If there is an occupant, then use the advanced recursive auric clearing code to clear the occupant. You see? To transmute until completely gone. So run in an infinite loop until all auric attachments are gone. So that's how we do that. Is that clear, everyone? All right. So now what I'm going to do is just give you a little experience of this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use this code, the infinite loops recursive energy clearing code, to clear the source of what you wrote on the text chat earlier. So everyone just focus on this code. Inhale the code to your third eye. And then just close your eyes and slow down your inner rhythm and breathing. Now, you don't have to do anything during this clearing. So just listen to my voice and feel what happens. It is commanded in the name of divine love that the infinite loops recursive energy clearing code be used to clear the highest priority issue for each person here now. Ta Asian Todoy. Keep breathing, everyone. So on your left hand, you'll feel the energy moving from your fingertips past your second knuckle right now. Now it's going past the middle of your palm toward your wrist. Now it's going underneath your palm. And you'll start to feel something releasing from you. Everyone feel that? Awesome. So this is for clearing general types of issues. And basically, if you're trying to manifest something and you have an issue, the issue is going to get in the way. So we want to start with a clear slate before we do any type of manifestations. Now, I use this today to manifest the upgraded suite. I used it in my session with my client and her son, and I used it for remote viewing the World Series Game 3, which is happening right now. So there's a lot of ways you can use this. But for this webinar, what we're focused on is the Auric attachments. So what the advanced recursive Auric clearing protocol does is it clears all Auric attachments permanently from the past, present, and the future because it's recursive. So with this new protocol, you only have to have this one clearing. And once you have the code activated in you, it works behind the scenes recursively to clear every type of negativity that you create or encounter. So it basically allows you to be clear and protected forever. Now, what this means for your health is that you can fully restore your original organic imprint for perfect health without self-sabotaging it with your discordant unconscious thinking, because that's what has happened in the past. You do a clearing and then you start worrying or overthinking, or you do a manifestation and then you start doubting, which blocks your manifestation. And so this allows you to clear the source of every physical issue, every illness that has already manifested, and then it'll keep you clear so you don't manifest anything else. Does that make sense, everyone? All right. So basically, you can kind of think of it like this. You're continually sweeping your auric field like a memory resident program on your computer, like a virus scanner that runs in the background. So it's transmuting all the negative energies that it encounters and constantly raising your frequency and upgrading your field. Now, think about how this will change the face of energy healing. It's going to change it forever, because if you're a healing facilitator, it will make your practice so much easier, much more efficient, and also your clients will be getting much better results. Once you start switching to this methodology. Plus, you won't have your clients coming back for the same session over and over. You won't have to keep doing that. You can start doing other things. It's like the leading edge, like a frontier cutting edge technology that no one out there is doing. And so when you do this, you'll be the first to experience it and use it. So the beauty of this is you only have to have one advanced recursive auric clearing. Once you have it installed in your field, you won't have to do any more auric clearings for yourself. If you're a practitioner, then you'll want to start using this in your sessions. And so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing a live advanced recursive auric clearing this week. All of you on the webinar, we've already found out that you have at least one auric attachment that's affecting you. And plus, you probably haven't had a live auric clearing with me in a while. So this will help you to become crystal clear, pristine energy field, and also clear any hindrances to your manifestations and your health. So the total value of this auric clearing, the advanced recursive auric clearing, a session with me is normally $11.11. You're going to have the code installed and activated on you, and you're going to get a copy of the code. And so the value of that is $25.28. So the total value of this is $36.39. Now, since you're on this webinar, it will be only $528 for the first 18 people that sign up. So this is those of you who are signing up now. After the webinar, it'll be at least $11.11. And so for those of you who are committed to doing this and having your field completely clear forever, you can get this right now for only $528. I'm going to put the link on the text chat, and you can just sign up by clicking on the link. Everyone see that? The session will be on Thursday at 7 p.m. And if you can't attend live, it'll be recorded and the energy is encoded into the recording. So You'll all get a recording of the session, so you'll be able to have that if you want to go back through it. And you'll also have the code that you can work with on yourself. And if you're a certified practitioner, you can work on it with your clients, which is going to be so much better for you. Can you see the link? Is it opening up for you? Just click on the link to make sure it goes to the page. All right, perfect. If you're having an issue with it, with the page, then make sure you're using Chrome browser, or just switch your browser, all right, on your computer. So this offer right here is only available for those of you on the webinar. It's over half off, and it's only available for 18 students. Any questions on this? Yeah, so that's a good point. I mean, if you have more than one person in your household and they want to participate as well, then I'll allow that. You can, have any family member that you want to experience the clearing for, and I'll do that complimentary. Well, the code, the advanced recursive Auric clearing master code is recursive. So that's the original programming of the code. Why can't you connect to source or creator instead of with the higher self? Well, you're always connected to source. Your heart wouldn't be beating if you weren't connected to source. You are a spark of source. So the connecting to your higher self is basically a way for you to get out of your mind. Make sense, Charmaine? Yeah, so go ahead and just click on the link, fill that out. I'll send you the link for the webinar on Thursday, and it's going to be extremely powerful. I really look forward to getting this technology on the planet. I'm going to be doing thousands of Auric clearings the rest of the year and really going big with this. So I look forward to you guys being the first in the cutting edge of this fantastic technology that we can use to heal not only ourselves, but all of the discordancy going on the planet. Sound good, everyone? Any other questions? Well, I really look forward to helping you with this. Thank you so much for being here. I can't wait to do the clearing on Thursday, and I promise you this will be the most powerful healing session you've ever done. Namaste, everyone, and much love to you all.